Hi, I'm Andrew Morrison with tinyhousebuild.com, and I'm here to tell you about home. This is a house that we built ourselves and designed ourselves. It only took us 4 months to build, and the cost to build it, $22,744.06. Now that does not include the interior cabinetry and appliances. So if we throw all of that in and have this exact structure, we're looking at $33,089.72. That's an incredibly low price tag for a very comfortable and elegant home. The home itself is 28 feet long and 8.5 feet wide. It gives you 221 square feet of floor space plus 2 additional sleeping lofts at 128 square feet. It's very comfortable, very elegant. Come on inside, let's take a look. All right, welcome to the inside. Now the first thing I notice when I come in here is the feeling of spaciousness. We've got really tall ceilings in here. They're about 11'6" at the tall side. And what we didn't do was use a gable roof. We didn't want to have a point where we lose a lot of headroom on the edges. We went with a shed roof, and that brings this open space all the way across the entire inside of this area, which really makes it feel big. The other thing is we've got on this side of the wall, when we walk into the room, we've got this really nice framed area here. Now this is basically our living room couch. And the depth of these cabinets not only gives us storage, but it also creates a feeling of depth, and it kind of draws you in. And what you get drawn into is this window. The window looks right out to the outside. It's a beautiful view to the outside here. We got about 5.5 acres on this property, so we have a lot of nature around us, and we try to take advantage of that. Now again, I turn back around, and the door that I came in through, that's also glass. So that gives another feeling of openness. It brings light into the room. You can picture if this were a solid door, once you come in and close that door, you might feel kind of trapped or at least closed into the structure. So having the light on both sides allows that openness and brings the inside outside and the outside inside. Now we've used cabinets all around, not just the living room area, but other places in the house as well. And what this provides is a ton of storage. We've got space for linens up here. We've got tons of extra storage up here, which we're barely using at this point. All of our camping gear is set up in here. We've got these 2 cabinets again down below underneath, which is what makes the bench. So it gives us not only a nice comfortable sitting area, and it's nice and wide, but tons of storage down there as well. Move a little bit further over and we get to our office. This has everything we need for our office right now, except for our printer, which is in a different cabinet. All of our office materials that we need, wires, pencils, stamps, cork boards to keep notes on, all of that stuff is in here with still tons of room to spare. So lots of space, all created in this very, what I think is very elegant looking cabinet, which, as I said earlier, frames in our living room area, so it kind of serves 2 purposes. Let's talk a little bit more about the office storage space here, because every little detail in a tiny house matters, and how you put things together in one space versus another depends really on that space. So for example, here we've got these 2 little hangers, I guess. So we've got a place to put our bills where we need to pay things, and things in the back which we need to scan. Now this is the coolest part of it, the scanner here, let me pull it out here because it's another one of these great small things. Woo, stamps on the ground. So this scanner right here opens up. I've got a whole video on this online you can check out, but this thing allows us to have a paperless office. It connects right to the computer, and any receipts or information that I have, grab those stamps, any information that I have that I need to put into my computer, I can scan it and run it right in, and it's in there permanently. It saves it in 2 places. Anyway, I won't get too much into that because you can look at that online later, but it's basically what allows us to have very little stuff in our office is that little scanner, and it allows us to scan everything and make it digital. We've got a little bit down here for the joys of the electronic age. Everything's wired these days still, so we've got all our wires there. Trying to keep them as organized as we can. Recycling on the bottom, and then more active storage up top here. Little books that we need to access, checkbooks, staplers, envelopes, things like that. You can see that there's still tons of room in here. I mean, if we wanted to and we wanted to make a stack, suddenly we've got this huge space with lots of extra room in there. So we like to keep things simple and keep things, everything has a home, but you can certainly use this storage to fill it much more. Now, having said that, part of tiny house living is about not filling every space. You don't want to necessarily cram everything in and open every cupboard and have it look like that one with our camping gear does, where it's just totally full. That doesn't work for us energetically. We like the simplicity and the openness that we get with this kind of space usage. So in terms of having extra space and keeping things simple, I got a great example here. We have a couple notebooks in, in this entire cabinet and a little box in the back. There's really nothing in here right now, which is nice. You know, if we need to have storage for extra things, maybe holiday things or something like that, where maybe we have them for part of the year but not all the year, it's nice to have an extra space to put those things. This side over here, we have our is where we have our printer. It's a wireless printer, so we can print anytime we want. We just turn it on, and it feeds right out from there. So again, it keeps the clutter off of our desk. It has it hidden behind these doors. Here's our office. This space here, we use laptops. So this is Gabriella's side. This is my side here. Again, paperless office, so super simple. It allows us a lot of comfort. And you can see down below here, there's a couple details here. Let me move this chair so you can see. The first thing is this, what looks like a cabinet down here is actually the wheel well. Keep in mind that we're on a trailer here. So this is where the wheels rotate in here, and there's enough room in here for the wheels to move freely while we're driving if we choose to take it on the road. And it's all flashed properly, so we don't have to worry about it ruining this wood. We've got our electricals down here, so we can run our wires down through the top with these little cable organizer deals and keep a simple, clean desk on the top here. The other thing that's nice about this, if we do want to have a little more feel of open space, we can drop these down, take them flush down. They've been down out of the way, and it just gives a little bit more feel of openness. So if we have a few people in the house, that can be a nice way to gain a little more space. Now, the other thing that this space does is it acts as our dining room. So when we're having our meals, we put our computers away. And again, with laptops, it's simple. We can take both of these and stack them on the stairs or put them somewhere else. And this becomes our dining area. So we can eat comfortably. Another beautiful view looking out the side, out of the back of the house here, I should say, not the side, out of the back. So it's a very peaceful place to eat. And it's a very good use of space used in two different ways. Like I said, one is an office and two is a dining area. And moving down, we've got this large slab door here, and behind this is our utility room, which is a pretty nice hiding place for all of this. We've got our hot water heater, our electrical panel. We actually keep our dog food in here as well. And we've got our vacuum hanging on the wall. Now, I do want to just throw out a little plug. This vacuum is awesome. It's we've tried several other kinds, some really expensive kinds and some not so expensive kinds. This one's awesome. We're actually going to be doing a tiny minute on just this vacuum. We like it that much, so stay tuned for that at a later date. All right, so the next thing, we move down and we come into the kitchen. And one of the many things that we love about our tiny house is that we have a full-size kitchen. I mean, I can do Donna Summer dance moves in here if I want to. This place is huge. We love that. We don't have a teeny little 2-burner thing on the countertop and a teeny little fridge that holds, like, you know, maybe a half a gallon of milk. We've got a full-size gas range here. We've got 4 full burners and a middle large burner, full-size oven, tons of counter space. I mean, tons of counter space. It's more than I've had, I think, in regular size homes. Lots of storage space with the cabinetry, both above and below, and the full-size fridge and freezer. So we get everything that you would want in a regular kitchen we have here in our tiny house. And one of the things that's interesting about this space is that it's underneath our main sleeping loft. When I was first designing this, one of the big concerns I had was that I was going to feel kind of cramped in here, that when I would walk into the kitchen or into the bathroom, that I would feel like I have to go like this. Even if I didn't have to, just that feel of it. I never feel that in here. This is about 6'3" to the bottom of this. I'm just around 6 feet, a little bit below 6 feet. I can walk through, no problem. I don't even notice it. I don't think about it. I've even got these lights that hang down a little bit. They don't bother me either. I walk right underneath them. It's really nice to have that feeling. It's part of what makes it not feel like a tiny home. You don't feel that cramped space. Head heights are not weird. That makes a huge difference. Now, the first place you come into is this little nook right in the opening of the kitchen. And we've got our wine glasses. We've got a knife rack hanging on the wall here, which keeps everything accessible but also out of the way. And it's kind of an elegant look. This is our 4-bank of drawers. So we've got our silverware and whatnot. And here's just a quick detail. We have 4 of each of these things. 4 forks, 4 spoons, 4 knives. There's 4 people. We don't need any more than that. If we have guests over, you know, we can work it out. We've got some smaller stuff we can use. But in general, we want to keep things simple. Our spice rack, again, everything labeled and organized. You know, go down the drawers. We've got a nice dry storage for our potatoes and root vegetables. So again, everything has a place. In the kitchen itself, you know, we've got a few things hanging up. Again, 1 wooden spoon, one spatula. We don't need 6 wooden spoons. We get into our cupboards here. Let me get out of the way so you can see. Lots of space here. We could still, stack things over tighter, and we could have more food storage if we want it, but this is about what we need. We don't need to have a lot of dry storage other than what we already have in here. Again, keeps everything simple. Nice full-size sink. Underneath the sink, we've got our pull-out recycling and our pull-out garbage over here. Both of those, again, space-saving ideas. The Lazy Susan in the corner gives us lots of extra storage. Again, not tons of extra stuff in there, just enough for what we need. Our drying rack, wine rack. Coming over, we've got on this side, we've got our plates and glasses. Again, we've got probably a few extra glasses, but it's nice to have a glass of water up in the bedroom sometimes when you still have one downstairs. Tons more storage. Again, we've got drawers on the tops. Got our utility drawer, probably the messiest part of our whole house, the utility drawer. And then a long, tall cabinet here as well. So all of this, again, it's using space properly, using it well. Our full-size fridge, lots of room. I don't think we could possibly eat enough to fill this thing up. And I say that in an interesting way because I actually do juicing, and that we go through a lot of vegetables every week, a lot of vegetables. Here's our juicer in the corner here. We use it every morning, and that takes a ton of space. So if we don't have a good-sized fridge, if we have a little dorm-style room fridge, we're not going to have enough space to store all of that stuff. So this comes in really handy for us. One thing we knew for sure when we first started this process was that we did not want to use a ladder to access our sleeping loft. We use our sleeping loft not only for sleeping, but we also use it, we take our laptops up there and we'll do work up there, just sitting comfortably on the bed. Occasionally we'll watch movies up there, read, whatever. We're up and down there quite a bit, so we wanted to have stairs. Now in a tiny house, stairs are not easy to accomplish. So what I did was I came up with an idea of how could we have stairs and also create storage out of it, and that's basically what we ended up with here. This provides us tons of room for our shoes. We've got our little pull-outs for our hats and gloves and things like that, winter boots. All of this is very usable space. This space in here, this main one, we're using right now to hang our jackets and longer things like that. But this is actually designed for a washer-dryer combo unit. So in the back, it's actually plumbed. If I move these aside, I'm moving this way so you can see. There's the hot water, the cold water, the drain would go out here, and there's a plug here to attach it to. There's also a gas line that comes up for the dryer. So it could be, if we decide to go with the washer-dryer combo, it will fit perfectly right in here, specifically designed for it. This is, again, on top of the wheel well, which is another kind of challenge is how do we hide the wheel wells? And I talked about earlier on the other side under the desk how that's got that little cabinet-looking thing and it makes a nice footrest. Well, on this side, we incorporated it into the stairs itself. So the wheel well is basically at this height right here, all the way across. So when we pull these cabinets or these little thingies out in the back here, that's where our setup is. That's the edge of our wheel well. So we can use that space and hide it and create storage out of it and also get a staircase out of it at the same time. Okay, so a tiny house with stairs is definitely not a common thing. So I want to show you how we managed to fit this in and make it work really well. So a regular set of stairs, not a big deal. This set of stairs, not a big deal. Totally comfortable to go up. And when we get to the top, you'll notice here, this riser is twice as tall. That's intentional. If I had another riser here and then I had to get onto my knees, I would feel like I'm hunched over and it would be uncomfortable. From here, I can step straight into the loft and off I go. That makes it much more comfortable. Also coming out, when I come out of the loft, he's going to go down first, I guess. When I come out of the loft, my wife especially fits incredibly comfortably here. I'm a little bit taller, so a little bit more feel here. But I can step right to here, and I'm ready. I'm standing position right off the bat, ready to go down. Now, we don't have a need for really anything else here to make this comfortable. If I'm feeling like in the middle of the night, I might come down, and I'm half asleep, and I'm tired, and I'm coming down to go to the bathroom, I can hang on to here just to give myself a little more stability coming down the stairs. But it's really not necessary. It's such a natural feel for the walk of the riser height and the treads and the width of the stairs. Very, very comfortable to use. So here's our bedroom loft. You can see it's very comfortable. If we want to sit up here, we've got these bed loungers we can sit comfortably against. We've got a little light on them. We can read. We can use our computer. We can just lounge up here. It's very comfortable, very spacious. This loft is actually 10 feet deep and 8 feet wide, plus or minus. So lots and lots of space up here to feel comfortable. I have to comment a little bit about the tiny house dog. It's important if you're going to live in a tiny house to have a relatively tiny dog. We actually have this amazing dog. His name is Oscar, and he fits in here perfectly. We also house sit or dog sit for some of our friends, and there are times where we've had Oscar plus 2 other dogs, and those other dogs happen to each be about 80 pounds. That starts to get a little tight in a tiny house, but it's doable. That's the good news. All right, so over here, back to the house, we've got our 2 sets of dressers here. This one on this side is Gabriella's. This on my side, on this side is mine. And everything we need for our clothes, other than what we have hanging downstairs, are in these 2 dressers. So again, it's not just about living in a tiny house. It's about downsizing all of the stuff that goes with it. So I don't need 6 pairs of jeans. I need maybe 2 pairs of jeans. In fact, I pretty much only wear 1 because they're my favorite jeans. All right, so again, organization goes a long way in a tiny house. You can see here we've got these little organizing bins that go into this bottom drawer. So this allows me to have my socks and my handkerchiefs and my underwear and my belts and everything organized and easily accessible. Other than that, it's basically just regular clothes and shelving all the way up. Again, simplicity. We don't want to go with tons and tons of shirts. I don't need 45 t-shirts. I need enough t-shirts to be comfortable with and leave myself the extra space. It feels better to have the space than it does to have the extra t-shirts. That's what my opinion is, at least. So again, we're keeping everything simple and everything clean lines. I want to show you over here. Again, windows. We've got a window, a thin, small window, which looks out, and it gives us a nice view, especially when we're lying in our bed. We can look out and see the treetops here. Nice, simple shelf. Again, trying to keep things with clean lines and just some simplicity. Now, from this window with a nice, simple line here, we come across to the side of the house. We've got another window which looks out, which again brings more light into the room and gives us an open feel. And as we come even further around behind where I was sitting earlier, we've got another window which looks out to the front of the house. So all of this glass, and even though they're not huge openings, it's enough to give us a really open, spacious feel, which is really important in a small house. Another thing that really goes a long way is the white of the walls. We're not using wood. A lot of tiny houses have that sort of tongue and groove pine wood, which is a beautiful look if that's what you're into. For us, we wanted the cleanness of the white. It reflects light, it opens the space up, it makes it seem brighter and bigger. So that was a big detail for us as well. Now, loft head height is always something that's important to consider. I spoke earlier about a gable roof that comes to a peak like this. Now, you may have a lot of headroom right up in this peak, but down on the sides, on both sides, you don't really have any headroom at all, and you're spending the whole time crawling around low with your back down low to the ground. It's not very comfortable. You can see where I'm sitting now, my head is in contact basically with the ceiling, and that's not too bad. It would be a little uncomfortable if I spent a lot of time sitting over here. The good news is this is the lowest part of the ceiling over here. This is as low as it gets in our sleeping loft and in the other secondary loft as well. So I come across, and now I'm over here. I've got lots of room, lots of comfortable headroom. It doesn't feel cramped. It doesn't feel closed in. And again, that's because it just continues to rise up the slope of the shed. And I don't have to deal with a rise and then a drop and have only the center of my room right here where I'd have my comfort zone and everything else drops off. So the shed design makes a huge difference in opening up the space. Now when we come down the stairs, we've got a ladder here which is set up to get to our secondary loft. Now we knew we wouldn't be able to fit 2 sets of stairs in, so we opted to go with a ladder here. This space over here, our secondary loft, this is what we call our tiny house lounge. And it's amazing what a bunch of pillows can create. It's so comfortable up here. We have our TV up here for watching movies. We don't have TV connection, but we do watch movies here. Have my guitar. We can sit up here and read. It's another space we can use our computers in if we want to do some work up here. It also acts as a guest bedroom, so when we have other people come in to stay with us, they can sleep up here. Now this is with all the pillows, it feels a little bit, not tight, but it feels a little bit like if you're sleeping right here and you're a roller, you might go off the loft. But the reality is this is actually a very comfortable loft size. You got 8 feet wide, and it's a little bit less than 6 feet deep when you get all the pillows out of here. So it's pretty comfortable for sleeping in. You can move the pillows out of the way and sleep nicely against the wall, no problem at all. So again, we're using the windows to bring light and open the space up. We've got a window to the front, which matches, you probably saw from the outside, the 3 top windows kind of match. Got a window on the side here, again bringing light in, and it's an operable window. We can slide it open and closed. Then we come across out over the top of our living room and dining room area, and we've got a long, thin window out there. That's a great window. It lets lots of indirect light into the building. When you're downstairs, you don't really see it. You just notice the light coming in. From up here, sitting in the loft, it's another beautiful view out to the tops of the trees, so it really gets the sense of bringing nature back inside. And again, not just the light, but the actual feel of the nature coming inside, which kind of brings the energy of the house into a nice calm state. Now the ladder, although obviously not as comfortable as the stairs to go up and down, it works really well. It's definitely functional. We looked long and hard about finding the right ladder, and there's lots of ladders available in places that do libraries and things like that, where you have the rail and it slides along, and they're really cool, but they're also really expensive. So what we ended up doing, trying to keep our budget down, was we used a ladder for an attic access. It's one of those foldable ladders. We stained it to make it match our sort of the look of our house, and had to do some alterations. They're normally a 3-stage, so there would be a third piece that actually folds the other way to get up to the attic, but because our loft is lower, we don't need all 3 of those. We just need the 2. We put some hooks on the back and attached it firmly into this piece of, it's 1/2-inch black pipe, very inexpensive, and this is mounted tightly to the wall. So we can hook that on there. We can remove the ladder if we want to. It's very easy to remove. It hooks right back into position. If we want to move it over, so if here I'm getting into my cabinets, I can do that without it getting in the way of the door. If I want to move it and have more flow this way, then I can do that as well. I can just pick it up and move it, or I can just slide it across. Either way works. It works really well. Very simple and very inexpensive. Now, one of the things we looked long and hard into was finding the right fireplace to heat this building. You see a lot of the marine stoves in some of the smaller tiny homes, and they're really cool and they're very space effective, but they're not strong enough to heat a space this big, especially with the tall vaulted ceilings. So we needed something a little bit bigger. We ultimately went with a propane stove. It's a nice, simple stove, corner stove, and what we liked about it was it had very small clearances. So we only needed to be 2 inches from the back corner to the wall and 2 inches to the back corner to that wall. We've held it out a little bit more than that just because it fits the scale of the room better this way, but it's nice to have those small tolerances. This whole thing is set up on a remote control, and that's awesome too, because I can turn this thing on and off as I want to use it. I can set it as a thermostat. I've got a spot where I put it on the other side of the room there to use it as a thermostat. I can also program it. So if I want to have it be, let's say during the day I want to have it 67 degrees in the house, I can have it at 67. When I go to bed, if I wanted it 53 or 61 or 80 or whatever you like to sleep in and walk around in, you can do that as well. You can set it to that, and it'll do it automatically based on the times that you set it for. Very, very convenient. We thought about doing wood and having a small wood burning stove. The challenge with that is I don't want to come home after being away for 4 or 5 days and have to heat the house back up. I also, in the depths of winter, if I go away for 4 days, I don't want to have to drain all the water out of the house, so I don't run the risk of bursting pipes. So having this set up on a thermostat allows us so much more freedom to be in the house, to be away from the house, and to come back to a nice, comfortable, warm home when we come home. Under our secondary loft, again, it's the same head height, so we have that no worry about clearance, which is really nice. We've got our bathroom. Now, the bathroom itself is a pretty reasonably sized space. We actually opted to go a little bit bigger and create a little more comfort in here. I don't think we paid for it in the rest of the house. I think we still have a nice feel of openness in the rest of the home. The biggest thing in our bathroom is our toilet. We have it's a composting toilet, and it's a self-contained composter. So all of everything that goes in here is basically more or less in here, so it stays in there. So it takes a little bit of extra space. Obviously, a regular toilet, if you were to set up a bathroom that used a flushing toilet and had a black water system that captured that, you wouldn't need this big of a toilet in your house. We opted for the composter personally. We also have our towels and our robes hanging. We've got a nice tall cabinet here which has all of our stores all the stuff that we need in our bathroom. Again, minimalist. We don't have a ton of stuff. We just have enough to keep us comfortable and have access to the things we need. Some cool little details. Obviously, I don't shave very often, but I do have a razor to kind of keep my beard trimmed up. And we've got a plug here inside the cabinet. I can plug directly in and close this up and let it charge up so that when I'm ready to use it, it's ready to go. And I don't have to have it sitting on my sink, basically charging or out in the house. I can have it hidden away in here. Very convenient. All right, so our bathroom sink, we went for a pretty good sized sink here. Again, we could go smaller. They make them as narrow as 15 inches, but that just seemed way too small for us. So we went with a nicer, broad model. We've got up top here, we've got a mirrored double door with lights in it, which is really nice because, again, our headroom, although it's very comfortable, it doesn't leave us room to put a vanity light over the top of our mirror. So having it incorporated into the mirror works really well. Gives us lots of storage space inside. And another cool detail of this unit is the lights actually go to the inside as well. So at night, when we're in here, it does illuminate the inside so we can see what's in there, which is pretty sweet. Now, the other thing that I really like about this is that the sink unit is designed specifically so that the drain valve is a pancake valve. When it drains down, it lands flat and shoots straight out. It doesn't drop and do the P-trap the way that most sinks normally do. And what that allows us is to have an operable drawer here. Lots of storage space in here, lots of room for expansion if we want to put more things in there. And when we close it closes fully. We don't run into the piping at all. We've got another one down below. This is probably the most crowded drawer of our entire house, but it's got all our first aid kits, everything we would need should anything go wrong in the house, along with other just sort of basic stuff like Band-Aids. Very, very good use of space right there. Very comfortable. Over here, right next to it, we've got the shower. I'm going to jump across here. Now, on the other side of the wall from our bathroom sink, we have our shower. And this is a 2'6" by 2'6" shower, so it's reasonably sized. It's not a teeny little thing. Again, I'm a 6 foot tall guy roughly, and I can fit in here with total comfort. I've got a soap dispenser, which has our shampoo, our conditioner, and our soap against the wall, and a shower curtain, which closes it off and keeps the water from splashing around. Now here, if you live in a more urban area, this big of a window in your bathroom is probably not an option, or if it is, you might want to have shades here. So for us, we've got a nice, beautiful view out here as well, and it brings lots of light into our bathroom. And it's not a small space. I can move around. I can do my stretching and my calisthenics and all that good stuff in here. And there's lots of space, but this makes it feel even bigger because I can see out and bring that space once again back into the house. Now we have this big window here. All the way down the other end of the building, we have another window. So again, we've got like the front door and that glass window that we looked out through the living room. We've got the same thing here on either end of the house where we've got visual patterns straight through the house. A line of sight through an object makes that object feel bigger. So it's a good design tip. So thanks for joining us on the tour of home. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to learn more about this structure, please visit us at www.tinyhousebuild.com. But most of all, stay classy.